So while I don't believe the myths to be literal, that they're really just allegories and stories about why things are and helps explain the nature of the gods, there is an interesting story that most of you know, and that is the story of Hephaestus and how he was married to Aphrodite and how she cheated on him with Ares. So, with that being said, we can look at the story and maybe see that Hephaestus is a good god to pray to if you've ever been cheated on. So let's talk about that story and look at it today. So a little prologue before we get to the actual adultery story is that when Hephaestus was born, he was born in myth of Hera alone, and he came out deformed. Some say that he came out ugly or deformed. Either way, she was not pleased with how he looked, and so she cast him off Mount Olympus, and he fell. And he was hurt that his mother rejected him. And so as he grew up, he decided to get revenge on her by crafting a golden throne. And he presented this gift to her, and it was rigged that as she sat down in it, she couldn't get up. So Zeus tried to figure out who could undo this craft. And so they finally found Hephaestus and brought Hephaestus to Olympus. And he agreed to get Hera out if he could have Aphrodite. And so Zeus agreed, and that's how they were, in some myths, married. So that's the little prologue behind it. And so then we go into the adultery side of the story. How Ares and Aphrodite, before Hephaestus' marriage to her, were already kind of in a relationship where they were seeing each other. And they continue to see each other as the marriage went on with Hephaestus and Aphrodite. And so that's what we're going to talk about. And so while Hephaestus was away, Ares had an affair with Aphrodite. And who happened to catch the two together was Helios. So you can't really get away from the eye of Helios, who is the first to see everything, is what he's called in myth. And so Helios, being the honest person and God he is, he ran and told Hephaestus. And Hephaestus was betrayed again in life. And so he decided to get some revenge. And he knitted a golden net, so fine that you could not see it with a naked eye. And he raised it above the rafters of the bed so that whenever the two, Ares and Aphrodite, got together, the net would fall. And so he set it up that way and left. And then, what you know, Ares and Aphrodite got together. And the net fell on them in the position that they were in the middle of doing you know what. And so Hephaestus came back in and saw them in a certain position and then asked all the other guys to come see. Because back in the ancient days, even now, it's extremely low down on. I hate adultery. That's one of my biggest hates in life. But there was an adultery tax, you could say. There was a penalty. There was an adultery penalty you had to pay if your spouse was caught in adultery. And so Hephaestus called the gods in, told them that, look, there's proof. Got Aphrodite and Ares together in a compromised position, we'll say, and there you go. The women, the goddesses in myth, were so ashamed that they didn't even leave. They didn't go see. So it was Hermes, Apollo, and Poseidon in the myth that came to see what happened. And Hermes and Apollo laughed. In some stories of the myth, they laughed between each other, wishing that they were Ares in that position with Aphrodite. So guys were being guys, basically. And Poseidon wasn't laughing. So he saw it, and he told Hephaestus to take them out, to loose them and let them go. And Hephaestus only agreed to do that if he would get his adultery share of wealth or payback for them doing that. As I said, that was a thing back then. And Ares and Aphrodite said that they would do that. And Poseidon told Hephaestus that, hey, they agreed that they would pay you back and give you your share for that betrayal. And then Hephaestus tells Poseidon, well, liars are liars, and you can't trust a liar. I mean, look at Aphrodite, she cheated on me, so how can I trust them? And Poseidon said that if they don't pay, I will pay their wages to you. I'll pay their debt to you. And so with that, Hephaestus let them go. So we find out later in myth what happened between Hephaestus and Aphrodite. They got divorced, we'll say. So in later myths, like in the Iliad, they call Ares the companion to Aphrodite, and then Hephaestus is already married to someone else. So they got divorced. And so in that myth, what do we find out? We know how the Greeks viewed the sacredness of marriage, that there is a penalty for adultery. We found out also that Helios, we were reminded that Helios is the god that sees everything because he is the spirit of the sun, so nothing goes past the gaze of Helios. And we also possibly find out the point of this video where Hephaestus is a god to pray to if you have had adultery in your relationships. That he's a god that you can pray to that helps ease that burden, I guess you could say, because you have his ear on that topic among forging. And to me, Hephaestus is also not just above metal forging and metal workings and the forge and all that, but just a blue collar job as well. So that's when I usually pray to Hephaestus, but definitely also when it comes to rejection and betrayal, for sure. Maybe not even adultery, but betrayal, because Hephaestus has been betrayed many times in myth. So maybe that's telling us that for betrayal, for adultery, maybe Hephaestus is one. So just something to think on, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.